Welcome to myprojectwizard.com. This is our project title, Estimation of Attenuation and Backscatter Coefficients from Human Thyroid. And this is our project abstract. Data mining has been used intensively and extensively by many organizations. In healthcare, data mining is becoming increasingly popular, if not increasingly essential. Data mining application can greatly benefit all parties involved in the healthcare industry. The huge amounts of data generated by healthcare transactions are too complex and voluminous to be processed and analyzed by traditional methods. Data mining provides the methodology and technology to transform these mounds of data into useful information for decision making. There are two main methods of data mining: clustering and classification. In many cases, the concept of classifications is confused by means of clustering, but there is difference between these two methods. According to the perspective of machine learning, clustering method is unsupervised learning and tries to group sets of objects having relationship between them, whereas classification method is supervised and assigning objects to sets of predefined classes in proposed system are classified and clustered of the thyroid disease in data mining. And this is our data flow diagram of our project. First, start the program. After starting the program, we must load the dataset. The datasets related to the thyroid disease symptoms, and the datasets load into the database into the project for pre-processing. After complete to the pre-processing stage, the pre-processing datasets will be removed the unnecessary and irrelevant null records from the given datasets, and we get the useful and pre-processed data to for the processing in our project. After pre-processing successfully, then we use clustering using Vega method to clustering the datasets with related similar objects. Similar objects in the sense we can get the set of attributes in the dataset, and the database will be clustered into the for the different clusters, different parts of clusters using Vega 2. Then you get the cluster report, how many how many form of clusters, and the number of cluster records in the each cluster to cluster sets. And then after completing the clustering and the classification using the classification using Vega 2. The Vega 2 is used to classify the dataset, which is to show the value of predict the thyroid disease, if it is found or not for individual records, and then get the classification results. And here the classification results in the sense we get the classification of each records, and we will be classified into the two or more databases, and then predict the status of thyroid using and then after classification is successfully, and then predict the status of thyroid of each individual IDs in the database, and then stop the program. Now we are going to see the demo of our project. I click on home.java and right click on it and select run file option. The home screen of our project is displayed in the screen. Then into the here we load the dataset into the database. Start the dataset CSV file. This CSV file must be taken by send it to the Vega 2. Then for the database. The database will be loaded into the screen. Then we can see the data sets, age, sex, then what thyroid, 6 pregnant thyroid level score is thyroid surgeries or the TSH, TS3 and so on, and give next button, and then pre-process the data. Here the pre-processing will be moving the null values, and then here we removing the null values and the unnecessary data into the data sets, and we hybrid cake nearest clustering for fuzzy clustering. Here fuzzy clustering was used to removing the irrelevant similar data into the similar data, and then we find the it is based on the cluster based on the age group, and the age and then cluster 2 in the age group is smaller than 40 or greater than 25, and cluster 3 the cluster 3 will be greater than smaller than 60 and greater than 40, and cluster 4 will be the greater than 60. Then here is the data, and click next button. Here the random subspace ensemble, then find the clustering based on the TSH, and the cluster 2 based on the T3, and the cluster 3 and based on the TT4 attribute in the database, and cluster 4 and the cluster 4 the TT4U in the database. Then click next button to next. Then view the cluster report. The cluster HKN cluster report will be the fuzzy cluster having the cluster 1641 and the cluster 2 having the some attributes and so on, and also RSE the random subspace ensemble cluster, and we have to see the compressed data from the database, and give the next button. There are two classification algorithm. Here we having the existing algorithm called k nearest neighbor classification, and the new algorithm called decision tree classification. First we enter to the nearest neighbor algorithm, choose any one of the data ID and find the nearest of the, and show the whatever that we selected, and here's next button, and then predict the thyroid level of selected ID, and then view the related classifications. Here is the the 95 having the hypothyroidism, and the related data sets are displayed in this screen in this report. Then select decision tree classification, and then select any one of the classification like a male or female, and they classify like this, and click female and classify that and show the value. The classification will be based on the female, and give the next button, and find the normal database in the normal records in the database which is having the normal thyroid level for females, and here is the female normal data, and here is the hypothyroidism for female, and this is the hypothyroidism for the female. Then give next button, and find the female report, find the report for the female, and the normal are 132 records, and the hypothyroidism is 287, and hypothyroidism is 2923, and the evaluation result, the efficiency between the existing system and the proposed system. The existing system having the having 85%, and the proposed system having this much of. Then the time cost, the cost of time taken for the each algorithm. We have to see the report and close the program. Thanks to listen.